My name is Dana Llewellyn with Better Being Bodywork. I'm a certified manual lymphatic drainage therapist, and this video will go through a step-by-step tutorial on how to address carpal tunnel with lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage can help a lot with carpal tunnel because carpal tunnel is a space issue. We have the carpal tunnel where our nerves go through, and those nerves can get pinched. And so with lymphatic drainage, we can help decrease swelling and inflammation in that area, making for a more spacious canal for those nerves to run through. So we're actually going to first start by just opening up some of the fascial lines in the arms. So we're going to start with a little pin and stretch of the shoulder. So go ahead and take your fist, put it right at the insertion of your pec, or that area between the chest and the arm. Pin down with the fist and just do some circles. Just do about 10 circles in either direction. So we're opening up these fascial lines because the lymphatic vessels flow through structures of the body. And so when we open up the fascial lines, when we warm up the muscles, that just gives the lymphatic vessels a little bit more room to do what they do best, which is move fluid. After you've done about 10 of those, we'll move to the elbow, starting with a slight bend in the elbow. Pin the tissue on the bicep just to the top of the elbow joint. Pin down and then stretch the elbow. Release the hand and bend the elbow again. Pin down and stretch. As you do this movement a couple times, you'll feel that the tissue in the elbow is stretching. So if we think about the nerves that innervate the hand and run through the carpal tunnel, those nerves start from the spine and go all the way down the arm. So that's why we're working with the arm to address the wrist. And then lastly, we'll do a little stretch on the wrist. So if your carpal tunnel is to the point where you can't flex or extend your wrist, we can just do a little bit of gentle massaging in this area just to warm up the muscles and to start to fluidicize that fascia a little bit. If you are able to have a little bit of range of motion, we're going to do a pin and stretch on either side of the wrist. So starting with the wrist in a gentle flex position, pin down the tissue on the inside of the wrist and then gently extend the wrist back, opening up the fingers, and then relax again. Pin down the tissue, flex the wrist, then move into a gentle extension. Of course, don't go into extension if it hurts. Only move to the point where it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but if it does start to hurt, again, you can just massage. To do the other side of the wrist, we're going to pin down on the opposite side with the hand in gentle extension, pin down, and then bring the wrists into a little bit of flexion, and then release. Pin down, flex, and release. We'll go 3 more times. So in this video, we're just going to work with one arm, and then if you'd like to do both arms, you can just restart the video on the other side. So now that we have warmed up some of the fascial lines in the arm, let's address the lymph nodes. So in lymphatic drainage, we always start at the neck. This is the terminus. So we're going to take Spock hands, bring it on either side of the collarbone with 2 fingers above, 2 fingers below, and just gently start massaging in a circle. We want to move the skin here, not slide across it. So I like to imagine I have the hands of a gecko and my hands are sticking to my skin. And I'm sliding that skin with my hands. You can kind of imagine like sliding a paper across a table. You want to take that whole paper with you and not just slide across the top of it. So we'll do about 10 of these. We want the intention of this movement, the pressure, to be directed towards the midline. So hand is moving in a circle, but most of the pressure and intention is directed towards the midline. So we'll do about 10 to 15 there, and then we'll move to the armpit. So I'm going to bring my arm up to show you the placement, but you can certainly leave your arm down if that's more comfortable. So you want to get full hand placement in the armpit, as much skin-on-skin contact as possible, and then we're just going to draw a rainbow, drawing in and up into the shoulder joint. Full hand contact. Remember, we're sliding the skin with the hand, we're not sliding over it. So we'll do about 10 repetitions here. This is opening up lymph nodes that live in the armpit. These are the lymph nodes that any fluid from the hand will drain through. So it's really important to open up the lymph nodes before we do any strokes on the lymphatic vessels. So now that we've opened up the armpit, we'll now open up the elbow. So extend the arm, place it in a comfortable position, full hand contact of hand to elbow, and then this time we're drawing a little rainbow down, just gently engaging into the elbow, in and up, in and up. We'll do this about 10 times. This is just affecting the pressure system. The lymphatic system is a pressure-based system. So when we change pressure internally, that means that fluid will move. So these little moves that we're opening up the lymph nodes, we're helping to change the pressure. And as that pressure changes, fluid moves. So now we've opened up the lymph nodes that we need to open, and we'll start working our way down the arm. In lymphatic drainage, we always clear the pathway that fluid will take first. So we've opened up the lymph nodes, so we know that fluid will have a place to go once they reach those. So now we're going to start at the top of the arm with a hand, as much skin-on-skin contact as you can, and we're just gently going to engage into the arm, gently drag the tissue up, and then release. We'll go about 5 times in each place. The pressure is very light here. Imagine we're just sliding the skin. We're not trying to engage into the muscle. After about 5 repetitions, we'll move one handprint down and do the same thing. Just gently dragging the skin up, releasing, and then resetting. You might feel a little snap in the tissue, and that's what we want. And then one more handprint down to the elbow, gently engaging into the arm, dragging the skin up, and then releasing. Then we'll move one handprint down to the elbow, doing that same thing, just working with kind of gentle pats almost. Then after about 5, we'll do the same thing on the forearm, gently engaging into the tissue, sliding the skin. The pressure is just about a 1 to a 2. It's very light pressure. You may have heard the analogy, imagine you're sliding saran wrap across the surface of water. That's really the pressure that we want to use. The lymphatic vessels are very superficial. They live just underneath the skin, so we don't need a lot of pressure to be able to access these. We don't need to go digging to find any of these structures. And then lastly, the inside of the wrist. Same sort of idea, full hand contact, gently sliding the skin, and then snapping away and resetting. So since we are working on carpal tunnel, we're going to spend a little extra time at the wrist. We know that because we opened up the pathway that the fluid is going to flow, we know that all this fluid that we're moving away from the hand right now has a place to go. All that fluid is going to be running up the arm, through the lymph nodes and the elbow and the wrist where that fluid gets cleaned, and then clean fluid ends up back into the bloodstream. So now we're going to do the same thing on the back of the arm. Fluid flows from back to front. Since we clear the pathway first, we clear the front first before we clear the back. So now I move to the back of the arm. So as best you can, reaching to that outer surface of your arm, starting from about the shoulder, and just gently patting the skin. Gecko hands connect to the skin. Gently slide that skin up. You can see even the tissue in my arm is sort of snapping back. I'm just gently pulling that skin and going one handprint down after about 5 repetitions. And we continue working our way all the way down the arm just like we did on the front side. If you can't completely reach the back of your arm, that's okay. Just do your best to reach a different portion. But know that when fluid moves in one area, it moves in all areas. So as we're affecting one area of the arm, we're affecting the whole arm and the whole hand. We continue working our way down the forearm. Gecko hands connect into the skin. We slide the skin up towards the shoulder and then reset. And then moving down another handprint. It often surprises people how light the pressure for lymphatic drainage is. It really just needs to be a pressure of a 1 to a 2. We're really trained that more is better, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the body needs a gentler touch to be able to do different things. I'm going to flip my hand around so you can see a little bit. Again, just like we did on the front side of the wrist, we're going to spend a little bit more time on the back side of the wrist. So instead of 5, we'll maybe do 10 or 15, or however many feels good for you at home. You can see the tissue on my hand stretching just slightly and then snapping back to its original position. And then we're going to work to the back of the hand all the way to the top. Gecko hands connect, slide the skin, and reset. Just really small movements. Now let's move to the front of the hand and just gently massaging the bones of the hand, all this thick tissue here. Now, one of the ways that the body intrinsically moves lymph is through physical movement. Every time our muscles move, the lymph surrounding those muscles also moves. So we're just going to do some gentle hand movements to encourage fluid flow in the hand. So it looks like this. We'll start with all the fingers straight, gently bend all the fingers, and then reopen. Sort of like we're making a jellyfish or a kind of octopus or squid movement, just opening up the hands. We can also use gravity to assist in this, so if it's comfortable for you, you can lift up your hand above your head and do these movements with the arm above the head using gravity to assist in fluid flow down towards the shoulder. So now to finish up, we're going to move back up the arm one more time to ensure that all that fluid has a nice clear pathway. So this time starting with the wrist, we'll start just at the wrist at the base of the hand, finding those MLD strokes again. Get-go hands connect into the skin, slide the skin, and reset. Eventually you may get to the point where you don't have to take the hand all the way off, and you can find that nuance of pressure of engaging into the skin and relaxing without taking the hand off. But I find that as a beginner, it's really helpful to completely lift the hand off of the skin so that you get the full effect of disengaging and re-engaging. Once we hit the elbow, we're just going to open up those lymph nodes one more time, engaging into the elbow joint, relaxing, and then starting that stroke again towards the shoulder. And then moving up the inside of the arm, one hand print up from the elbow, gently engaging into the skin, dragging it, and then resetting in one position. Then move up one hand print until you get to the shoulder joint. Once you get back to the shoulder joint, let's open up those nodes one more time, just to be sure we really got it. So full hand contact, skin to skin if you can, engaging up into the shoulder joint, and towards the body. Then we'll end at the terminus one more time. So Spock hands, 2 fingers go on top of the collarbone, 2 goes under, and we'll gently massage in circles with the intention and direction of that circle moving towards midline. So there is a short lymphatic drainage routine that you can use to assist in symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome. You can repeat this on the other side if you'd like. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.